My childhood friend Willow, who grew up with me, was suddenly confessed to, boldly, by the newly transferred athlete, Makoto. Yet I didn't panic at all, because I believed, no, I knew that the bond Willow and I had built over more than a decade couldn't be that fragile. But I was wrong. When he cornered her against the wall and asked, "What's your relationship with him?" she replied without a hint of hesitation, "Just neighbors." The next second, Makoto cupped her face and kissed her. Later, when I was exchanging WeChat contacts with a junior student, Willow happened to pass by. The junior asked, "What's your relationship with her?" I said, "Just neighbors." Chapter 1. Between classes, a crowd of students rushed noisily out of the classroom. Not long after, my deskmate came back, panting, and casually placed a bottle of Coke on my desk. He teased, "Your Willow asked me to bring this to you." After catching his breath, he continued, "George, maybe you should go take a look. That new guy who just transferred into Willow's class. I heard he's a rich second-gen kid, also used to be on the city sports team. Came here specifically to catch up on academics." I took a sip of the drink and said lazily, "No time. I haven't finished my exercises yet." My deskmate laughed and teased, "The one closest gets the prize first. Aren't you afraid Willow might fall for someone else?" Then he waved it off himself. Then again, knowing Campus Belle Lou, the cold beauty, I doubt she'd ever fall for someone else so easily. I just smiled indifferently. Everyone knew Willow and I had been childhood friends. Our families were close, so close that we were basically tied together even before we were born. Growing up, we were the picture-perfect pair. Everyone said so. She never denied it, and I never explained. Willow had always been cool and distant, especially toward guys, except me. She had turned down countless admirers, the top students, the rich heirs, the handsome ones, you name it. So I had no fear that some new rich jock would catch her eye. That evening after school, I finally saw him. I was slinging my backpack on and about to leave with Willow, who was waiting for me at the school gate, when a gust of wind blew past. A tall, lanky boy stepped in front of her. With a cocky grin, he drawled, "Willow, some of the guys are throwing me a welcome party tonight. Come with me." Willow took a step back, clearly disgusted. "Sorry, I don't have time," she said bluntly, then brushed past him and left. After a few steps, she turned back and called to me, "George, let's go." I nodded, pulling my gaze away from the athlete. I didn't miss the way he looked at me, curious, with a hint of amusement. On the way home, we discussed a tricky exam question and let the strange moment fade into the background. Just before parting ways, Willow suddenly stopped me. She said, "George, let's apply to Shanghai University together." Under the dim yellow street lamp, her normally cold, flawless face softened, and her voice took on a rare gentleness. My heart stirred. I smiled and replied, "Sure." Chapter 2. I had a habit of dozing off in class. Willow brought me a can of Coke every day. One day, my deskmate and I were heading back from the restroom and passed by her classroom. She called out to me and handed the drink through the window. When I looked up, I saw a guy sitting backwards on her desk, his arms folded and head down, napping. Willow frowned. "Makoto, go back to your seat," he replied lazily. "Come on, what's the big deal if I sit here for a bit?" He turned his face and locked eyes with me. The moment he saw me, his smirk deepened, but he looked away just as quickly, like I wasn't even worth noticing, then turned back to stare at Willow. He raised his eyebrows and said with a cheeky grin, "You always bring this stuff with you. Is it even good? Bring me one too tomorrow." "Yeah." Willow shot back, clearly annoyed. "Buy it yourself." Makoto shrugged. "Some class rep you are, don't even care about your classmates." After that, I started seeing Makoto more and more, but it didn't last long. He pestered Willow for a while and then gave up on his own. Life between Willow and me returned to normal. One day, we were discussing a tough math problem through the classroom window. We were deep in it, fully focused, when suddenly her eyes shifted past me, staring straight ahead. A ripple broke across her usually calm gaze. I didn't turn around, but I heard a bright, bell-like laugh behind me. Makoto was chatting up a girl, and whatever he said must have been hilarious, because she burst out laughing. "Makoto." Willow spoke, her voice laced with irritation. Makoto replied, Willow." He looked up in surprise. His expression was calm but curious. He smiled and asked, "Something up?" I quietly watched Willow. It was like she'd forgotten I was even there. Her eyes were fixed firmly on the guy behind me. She clenched her fingers tightly, crumpling the edge of the test paper in her hand. Willow let out a cold snort and said, "You're the only one left who hasn't signed up for the math group." Makoto blinked, catching on. Before he could say anything, the girl beside him chimed in with a playful pout. "Makoto, didn't you already say this morning you'd team up with me? Why didn't you tell Willow? I thought you had." Makoto laughed. "Oops, forgot, my bad." They left, still joking and smiling. Willow stayed where she was, unmoving. A faint trace of disappointment appeared in her dark eyes. In that moment, it felt like something precious was slipping right through my fingers. Another day. I returned from PE class drenched in sweat. Just in time to see Makoto leaning casually against the hallway railing, talking to a friend. One hand propped on the railing, the other holding a can of Coke. He was grinning without a care. He glanced sideways at me, then looked away. He casually handed the drink to his friend and said with a smirk, "Willow gave this to me. Don't feel like drinking it, you can have it." His friend teased. "Oh, what's going on here, Makoto? Looks like you're close to sealing the deal." "Huh?" Makoto waved him off. "Cut it out. She's a pain in the ass." I didn't stop walking. Expressionless, I went back to the classroom. On my desk sat the Coke Willow had tried to give me earlier. She was late that morning. I popped it open, took a sip, then frowned and tossed it in the trash. My deskmate looked puzzled. "You didn't even finish it. Why'd you throw it out?" "It's gone bad," I said. That night, I didn't wait for Willow. I went home early. She didn't come looking for me either. The next day, we ran into each other in the elevator. She only asked me one thing. "Was there too much homework yesterday? Why'd you leave early?" I stared at the descending floor numbers and replied, "Yeah." A few seconds passed in silence. Then I added, "I've been having trouble sleeping lately. Don't bring me drinks anymore." Willow didn't say a word, but I could feel her eyes on me the whole time. The elevator doors opened. Just before she stepped out, she finally said, voice cold and flat, "Fine." Chapter 3. Willow and I were in a cold war. Even my deskmate noticed something was off. He asked, "No way, George. Don't tell me that Willow's ship I've been rooting for is about to end in a bad breakup." "No. I've literally been betting my lunch money on you two making it to graduation." I was speechless. I said, "Focus on your studies. Midterms are coming." He sighed. "George, I heard that at the New Year's Eve performance in a few days, Willow and Makoto are doing a duet. Doesn't that piss you off?" "Piss me off?" Of course it did, but deep down, I still believed that our bond couldn't be broken so easily. Just a few more days, I told myself. The school was buzzing with excitement on the day of the New Year's show, right before Willow and Makoto's performance. The dark auditorium suddenly erupted in cheers and whistles. "Willow. Makoto. Willow. Makoto." The voices echoed in rhythm, rising like a wave. Then the spotlight snapped onto the stage, illuminating a pair seated at the piano. The boy wore a black tuxedo. The girl, a flowing white dress, handsome and beautiful, like characters straight out of a fairy tale. "Shoo." Makoto leaned into the mic with a devilish grin. "Our performance is about to begin." The crowd hushed. A light, flowing melody spilled from their long, elegant fingers. The two on stage moved in perfect harmony, exchanging glances and smiling softly. Anyone watching would have to admit, they looked good together. It had only been half a month since we last went to school together. And already I felt like I barely recognized the Willow on stage. The way she looked at him. The way she lowered her eyes and smiled gently. Those expressions were completely unfamiliar to me. My heart suddenly skipped a beat. A heavy, suffocating wave of despair rushed in and swallowed me whole. I felt like I was being shut out of their world. Even my hand trembled as I tried to take out my phone. My deskmate was saying something to me, but I couldn't make out a word. I just kept my head down, muttering, "I'm fine." But the calmer my voice sounded, the more violently my hand shook. And finally, as the crowd burst into thunderous cheers and applause, I slipped away, hiding my panic, and fled the auditorium. Chapter 4. By the little lake in front of the school library. 9 p.m. No one came. 10 p.m. Still no one. 11 p.m. No one. On WeChat Moments, a classmate posted a photo. A boy and girl at the piano, smiling at each other under the stage lights, glowing even brighter because of them. I clenched my fists, trying to steady myself. But my hands wouldn't stop shaking. My mind kept looping through those heavy, suffocating memories, until I couldn't hold it in anymore and let out a hoarse, anguished cry. The winter night wind was razor sharp, cutting so deep it made my whole body break out in a cold sweat. At 11:30, I finally heard a rustling sound behind me. I stood up abruptly. A beam of flashlight swayed toward me, and a girl's startled voice rang out, clear and crisp. "Eep." The light hit my face. I raised my hand to block the glare. "Hey, are you a person or a ghost?" she asked. She stood a few steps away, and her voice cracked for no reason when she said it. "I'm human," I replied. Only then did I realize my throat was completely hoarse. She frowned. "You scared the crap out of me. I heard someone yelling and thought the school was haunted or something." I was speechless. "I'm not a ghost," I croaked. But the next second, I was suddenly hit by a wave of dizziness. My legs gave way, and I nearly collapsed backward. Thankfully, I reacted fast enough to catch myself with both hands before I hit the ground. The girl freaked out, her phone's flashlight bouncing wildly. "Ah, what's wrong with you? Get up." "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have called you a ghost." "I take it back, I'm the ghost." "Okay, I'm the ghost." I slowly turned to look at her and shook my head to signal I was fine. She squatted about 3 meters away from me, pushing something across the ground toward me with a stick, face full of panic. Her voice trembled as she said, "Here, Mr. Ghost. I just bought this little cake. I'm giving it to you as an apology gift. Please don't haunt me." I was speechless. In the dim light, she had already stood up. She was tall, but her face was hidden in the shadows. The wind carried over a soft, sweet scent from her, mixed with her quickened breathing. She stammered, "It's late, Mr. Ghost. If you're not gonna eat me or anything, then I'll just head out first." And then she was gone. I stood up and checked my phone again. Only messages from my parents and my desk mate. I replied to them, then took a deep breath and stared out over the dark, silent lake. After a few seconds, I picked up the cake the girl had left and walked away. It was blue, with a yellow-haired mermaid on top. When I reached the bottom of my apartment building, I had a strange feeling and turned around, just in time to see a tall figure dart out of sight behind the corner. The air was quiet and still. Somewhere in the dark, a stray cat meowed twice. I waited for a bit, but the person I hoped to see never showed up. I let out a bitter laugh. My cracked lips split painfully as I smiled. The time on my phone ticked to 11:59 p.m. When I opened the door, my parents' smiling faces greeted me. They were holding a cake. "George, happy birthday." Chapter 5. The next morning, I woke up feeling lightheaded and heavy all over. The alarm went off several times, but I struggled and failed to get out of bed. In a daze, I vaguely heard my mom cry out in alarm, "George, your forehead's burning up." After that, I blacked out. When I woke again, I was in a hospital bed. My mom was sitting beside me, and the moment I opened my eyes, she finally let out a sigh of relief. Out of the corner of my eye, I noticed a small box nearby. My mom said, "We ran into Willow downstairs when we got to the hospital this morning. She said this is your birthday present." I frowned. "Oh," she asked. "Aren't you going to open it?" I replied, "Maybe not." Maybe it was because I was sick, but I didn't feel like moving at all. After getting my 4 and resting at home for half the day, I went back to school in the afternoon. It was right in the middle of midterms. I'd already missed the morning Chinese exam. Exam seating was arranged based on the last test results. So both Willow and I were in the first exam room, classroom 1 of the science track. She sat right in front of me. Just as I took my seat, Willow turned around. Her tone, unusually for her, had a trace of concern. "You feeling better?" she asked. I didn't look up. I just set down my pen and said, "Yeah." She pressed her lips together, hesitating for a few seconds before asking, "What's wrong with you? Why didn't you come last night?" I said, "What?" The bell rang. I met her cool, clear gaze, and after a pause, I said, "That's enough, we can't talk now. The proctor's here." She took a soft breath but didn't press further. That was just like Willow. Ever since we were kids, even when we fought, she always stayed calm, as if nothing could ever rattle her. If I hadn't seen her on stage last night with my own eyes, I might have kept believing that. The exam ended. I packed up my things and immediately got up to leave. "George." I ignored Willow calling me from behind. I kept my head down, not watching where I was going, and ran straight into a girl walking into the classroom. "Eep," she exclaimed. The voice sounded oddly familiar. I looked up, and found myself staring into a pair of bright, amber-colored eyes. Her gaze was striking. I looked for a moment too long. She was slender, with delicate features, and maybe because she noticed me staring, she shifted slightly to the side to let me pass. Snapping out of it, I quickly said, "Sorry about that," she replied. "It's okay." Her voice had that soft, airy quality only teenage girls seem to have. Light, playful, and cheerful. "Anna, you just ran off. What's the rush? Reincarnating or something?" Another girl ran up and poked her in the arm in mock annoyance. Anna, the girl who was notoriously bad at Chinese. She did decently in all her other subjects, but when it came to Chinese, she completely flopped. Every time the teacher mentioned her, it was with this look of deep disappointment. Thinking about that, I glanced at her again. Anna and her friend were bantering as they walked into the classroom. Dimples flickered faintly at the corners of her smile. The setting sun cast its glow on her figure, dyeing the tips of her ears a soft red. Maybe she felt my gaze, because Anna suddenly turned her head slightly, and our eyes met. Those beautiful eyes blinked in a fluster, then quickly turned away again. Chapter 6. When I returned to the classroom, there was an apple left on my desk. It must have been left behind by the student who had taken their exam at my seat. I stuffed the apple back into the desk compartment, planning to leave it there for the person to retrieve after their evening exam, worried they might forget again. I wrote a sticky note and stuck it on the apple. I wrote, "Hey classmate, don't forget your apple." After the exam that evening, Willow stood up before me. She said, "George, can we talk?" Neither of us was an idiot. Of course she'd noticed something strange between us. I nodded and said, "Sure." Just as we stepped out of Class 1's door, we ran into the same girl from earlier, Anna. She had the apple in hand and was chatting and laughing with a few other girls. A classmate nudged her arm and said teasingly, "I saw a note stuck on that apple. Come on, fess up, who gave it to you?" Anna let out a disinterested hum, but her eyes glimmered with smug pride, like a girl failing to hide her glee. She said, "I bought it myself." "Okay, do I look like someone who just accepts stuff from others?" The classmate rolled her eyes. "Yeah, right, I totally believe you." She reached for Anna's pocket. "Then let me see the note," Anna replied. "In your dreams." She dodged nimbly to avoid her, not watching the way ahead, and ended up right in front of us, bumping her shoulder into Willow's arm. It wasn't hard, but Willow still frowned. Anna turned back, looking up at me first. Her eyes were bright with a smile. For some reason, the tips of her ears flushed red. She hurriedly hid the hand holding the apple behind her back. She said, "Sorry about that." I looked at the apple, then back up to her face, and said, "You don't need to apologize to me. You bumped into her." I pointed at Willow beside me. Those bright eyes turned to Willow, and her tone suddenly shifted from nervous to a bit casual. She pursed her lips and said, "Oops, my bad. Didn't see you there." Willow rubbed her arm but didn't respond to her. She leaned in and whispered to me, "I'll go pack up first. I'll wait for you outside your classroom." I nodded. Okay. When I snapped back to reality, Anna had already run off after her friends, shouting as she chased them, "That's my apple, you brats. Get back here, or else." Out of nowhere, I let out a laugh. Chapter 7. Sure enough, the apple was gone from my desk. All that remained was a piece of scrap paper with just one word on it, "Thanks." The handwriting was graceful and flowing, like a butterfly dancing across the paper, just like the person herself. After packing up my bag, I waited a while but didn't see Willow come. So I went to her classroom, but the lights were already off, and the door was locked. I stood at the dark entrance of Class 2 and called her number. A phone lit up in a desk by the window. I hung up, and the light disappeared. Willow had stood me up. An empty feeling settled in my chest, as if something had been carved out. Just moments ago, I'd naively thought we should sit down and have a proper talk. The next day during the morning exercise break, as a hall monitor, I went to inspect Class 2. I walked straight past Willow without even a glance. She suddenly called out, "About yesterday." Before she could finish, a boy in the line, Makoto, switched places with someone, completely ignoring me. He forcefully grabbed Willow's hand and shoved 2 candies into her palm, tilting his head with a cocky grin. He said, "A gift for you, imported, as thanks for helping me with homework at my place yesterday." Well then, now I knew why she didn't show. Willow pursed her lips but didn't refuse. She turned to look at me, but I looked down, avoiding her gaze, and marked a deduction on Class 2's discipline score sheet. I said, "Switching spots during morning exercise and chatting, 5 points off." Then I turned and walked toward Class 1. Behind me, I heard Makoto angrily snap, "What the hell? Isn't he your friend? Why'd he deduct our class's points?" At the end of Class 1's line, when the girls saw me approach, one who'd been chatting instantly stood up straight and started doing the routine perfectly. She even clamped her hand over the mouth of the girl still talking to her and hissed, "Stop talking, be serious." The other girl was speechless. Her expression shifted from annoyed to looking at her like she was crazy. Then she saw me, and her face changed again, this time to something more teasing. With a fake sweet voice, she joked, "Anna, you're doing the morning exercises so seriously today." Anna's face turned crimson. She bit her lip and muttered, "Keep talking and he'll deduct your points." I chuckled softly. As we brushed shoulders at the end of the routine, I dropped a line behind me, "Relax, no points deducted." Chapter 8. The results of the monthly exam came out quickly, taken just yesterday, released today. The homeroom teacher asked me to go pick up the Chinese test papers. Before I even entered the office, I heard a teacher scolding angrily, "Anna, what was your essay even about? I used GPS and still couldn't find your thesis. What's the point of doing well in other subjects if Chinese drags you down? What are you gonna do when it's time for the college entrance exam? Don't let your eyes split off. I'm talking to you." I knocked and said, "Excuse me, teacher. I'm here to pick up the papers." The teacher responded, "Oh, come in." I walked straight past Anna to the homeroom teacher's desk at the back. The Chinese teacher from Class 1 toned down her voice and said, "Look at that, George didn't even take the Chinese exam this time because he was sick. Otherwise, I'd definitely show you what a real essay looks like." Hearing her mention me, I gave a small polite smile. Then I turned my head and met Anna's eyes. She looked dazed for a moment, then quickly looked away and muttered stubbornly, "Well, next time then. Next time. Let me see how awesome his essay really is." The teacher frowned and said, "Get your act together, will you? Seriously, take your paper and go study more essay examples." Anna trailed behind me on our way back to class. Our shadows, one long, one short, overlapped, then separated again. At the classroom door, unexpectedly, the girl behind me called out, "George." Surprised, I turned around. She was standing with the light behind her, her face hard to make out. Anna stretched out a hand from behind her back and slowly opened her palm. 2 yogurt candies dropped onto the stack of test papers I was holding. She said softly, "As thanks for not deducting our points during morning exercise." I didn't refuse. I said, "All right, I'll gladly accept them." She waved and said, "Gotta go. Bye-bye." After Anna walked off, I turned and saw Willow standing behind me. Her gaze followed Anna briefly before settling on me. She said, "Sorry about last night. Let's talk after school today." Expressionless, I walked into the classroom and replied, "No need." Unless Makoto had physically restrained her last night, she could have easily borrowed his phone to explain the situation to me. But I got nothing. Only 2 possibilities. 1, she didn't want to. 2, she couldn't remember my number. Either way, it's not worth holding on to any expectations. Chapter 9. For the first time ever, Willow scored poorly in the monthly exams. She dropped to 5th in the grade. She had never fallen below 3rd place before. It didn't take long for me to find out why. Just as the bell rang after I left the campus store, I took a shortcut through the grove. Up ahead, I saw Makoto pulling Willow into a corner against the wall. He stepped closer and closer until she was pressed against it. Makoto asked, "Willow, do you like that George from class 3? Willow's face flushed red. "No." Her answer came quickly. Makoto chuckled, "But I heard people saying you too." Willow replied, "Neighbors," she said. "We're just neighbors." Makoto gave a subtle smirk, leaned in, and kissed her lightly on the lips, just a quick peck. Then he said, "Willow, I like you." Willow paused for a few seconds, then suddenly hooked her arms around his neck and stood on tiptoe to kiss him back with surprising passion. The clumsy, youthful kiss of 2 teenagers, awkward but full of thrill. I stood there watching for a moment, thought I'd feel hurt, but strangely, all I could think about was that I was going to be late for class. So I turned and walked away. Hadn't gone far when I heard footsteps behind me. I looked back. Anna was munching on bread, her cheeks puffed out like a little hamster. She jogged up toward me, her long black hair bouncing with each step. As she passed me, she reminded me helpfully, "You're late for class. Aren't you gonna run?" Her voice was muffled by the bread, cheeks round and full. As she ran up the stairs, she suddenly stopped and began to cough violently from choking. Her face turned red from coughing. She pointed at the bottle of water in my hand. I said, "I've already drunk from it." She coughed and waved it off. "It's fine." Seeing how bad her coughing was, I handed the bottle over. She finished the remaining half in one go. Then she nodded seriously and declared, "A drop of water shall be repaid with a gushing spring." Her face was still flushed from coughing. I chuckled. Much appreciated. Anna's act of gratitude came fast. That afternoon after school, we switched seats. I moved to the spot by the window. I had just sat down when, knock knock, came a tap on the window. Anna leaned on the windowsill, dimples flashing in her smile. She held up a bottle of water and a yogurt drink and said, "My lifesaver, I've come to repay your kindness." Chapter 10. It felt almost deliberate. No matter where I went, I kept running into Anna. And just like that, somehow, we started getting closer and closer. I asked her about tough math problems. She asked me how to write better essays. Our deskmate asked me, "Why are you suddenly so tight with her?" I said, "I saved her life." The look they gave me was like I'd lost my mind. No one talked about Willow and me anymore. Everyone just quietly dropped the subject. It was obvious to everyone that things between her and Makoto weren't normal. I still saw Willow almost every day, but we hadn't spoken in a long while. Ever since I threw out that bottle of drink, she'd never brought me another. Instead, Makoto strolled past our classroom every day, kicking soda cans in different flashy ways. Every time, my deskmate would fume and say, "If that show-off keeps this up, I swear I'm gonna report those 2 for dating early." Seeing me completely unbothered, they'd ask, "You're really not mad?" I replied, "Honestly, yeah. I was kinda annoyed at first, but it wasn't Makoto that pissed me off. It was Willow. But even that disappointment, some of it's on me. She and I weren't even a real couple, were we? I had no right to expect anything or point fingers. Whatever she wants to do, that's her business. I did like Willow once, but I've moved on. I'm a senior in high school. I've got endless possibilities ahead. I'm still a top student. Why should I act like my life's over because of one girl? Not to brag, but once I've finished my studies, once I've made something of myself, what kind of woman couldn't I get? My deskmate cautiously asked, "So, George, how long are you planning to keep studying?" I answered, "Life is infinite, so is learning." Chapter 11. Soon, it was time for final exams. In the past few tests, Willow hadn't been able to catch up to me. Being top of the grade had now become my regular place. On the day the final exam results came out, I went to the homeroom teacher's office to collect my report card. I overheard the Class 2 homeroom teacher saying, Willow must have not been feeling well during these exams. Once she gets her condition sorted out, she'll reclaim first place for sure. Girls, you know, are more affected by certain physiological issues. Can't be helped. What can I say? God wasn't exactly fair to women when creating the world. This world, really, is one big man-loving world. My own homeroom teacher smiled but didn't reply. When she saw me come in, the Class 2 teacher quickly switched topics. My homeroom teacher asked what plans I had for winter break. I was going to say I had none, but then changed my mind. I said, I talked with a few classmates, planning to form a study group to focus on our weak spots. We even found a top student to help tutor us. The Class 2 homeroom teacher cut in. Nice. No wonder Willow told me she'd be tutoring struggling students during the break. So she's helping your group? Huh? I blinked and said, no, the top student I meant is Anna from Class 1. My teacher tried to hold back a laugh. Anna agreed to that. I replied, yes. In exchange, I'm helping her with essay writing. Just as I finished, the Class 1 homeroom teacher barged in energetically. You guys talking about our Anna? What are you saying about her? Anna followed right behind him. My teacher smiled and filled them in on the peer tutoring plan. The Class 1 teacher gave a sudden laugh. So you're the genius Anna said was helping her with writing. I thought her improved essay scores were because I yelled her into shape. He gave me a hearty pat on the shoulder. George, make sure to give that rascal a hard time over the break. My homeroom teacher turned to Anna and said, Anna, show our students a bit of that brilliant brain of yours too. Then the Class 2 teacher chimed in. I still say girls are the best. Just look at Anna and Willow, smart, attentive, and kind enough to help others, born with the ability to love. Unlike some boys, Anna peeked out from behind her teacher, interrupting with a grin. Teacher, are you praising me? Thanks, but I honestly don't think I'm smarter than George from Class 3. He's the only one in the entire school who scored full marks in physics. I came here just to take a look at his exam paper. Her dimples appeared as she smiled. Even though she was smiling, her tone had a strange, passive-aggressive edge to it. The Class 2 teacher was left speechless. Just then, a class rep from her class walked in, so she mumbled something and turned away. Anna flashed me a secret peace sign behind her back. Chapter 12. Winter break. I had just stepped out, planning to head to the library, when I ran into a group at the building entrance. Makoto and a few friends were ringing the doorbell across from me. Within seconds, Willow opened the door. I glanced at her, then looked away. Makoto's cheerful voice rang out. You told me you and George were neighbors, but I didn't realize you lived this close. Willow gave a quiet and let them in. After they changed their shoes, Willow's voice came from behind me. She said, George, you're avoiding me. A firm statement, no hesitation, no doubt. I almost laughed. You're overthinking it, she asked. Then why did you stop coming over for dinner when my mom invited you? I said, too much homework. No time. George, Makoto, already inside, poked his head out and said, Willow, everyone's waiting for you. What's taking so long? He gave me a knowing look. Willow said, George, I hope we can still be friends. She shut the door before I could respond. I let out a sharp breath and chuckled in disbelief. Standing outside, I texted her, I don't stay friends with people who don't know basic respect. Then I deleted her contact, WeChat and number, both gone. Predictably, she didn't reply. If she hadn't said that line today, we could have just quietly stayed buried in each other's contacts, untouched. But she said we were friends, a label that felt deeply ironic, because between us, there had never been such a thing as just friends or just neighbors. When others teased or joked about us, neither of us ever denied it. I used to like Willow, and I thought she liked me too, but now I see I was wrong. She only ever saw me as a convenient shield to turn others down, and I accepted her cold distance without complaint. For the past decade or so, my life revolved around two things, textbooks and Willow. I didn't really have close friends. People's first impression of me was always, that simp for Willow. But now, I'm ranked number 1 in all of a city. Without Willow in my life, my future suddenly looks bright and wide open. Now that I've stopped caring about her, I have so much more time to focus on myself, to notice the good things around me. Knock knock. At the library, across the table, Anna waved her phone at me, signaling me to look. On it, a message. George, it's snowing. Outside the window, the light was dim. Snowflakes fluttered down gently, and yet, I saw a bright light. The girl across from me had soft dimples in her cheeks. She sent another message. It's the first snow of the season. Make a wish. I looked up and met her sparkling eyes. I replied. Then here's to both of us. May we have bright and magnificent futures. Chapter 13. Willow and I quietly drifted apart. No heated arguments. No dramatic tears. Just like she wanted. We truly became just neighbors. When we occasionally ran into each other and couldn't avoid it, we simply nodded and smiled politely. Eventually, news of her relationship with Makoto got out. No one knew who spilled it. Their homeroom teacher called in Willow's parents. When I ran into them, her parents cautiously asked, "George, we haven't seen you come by in a while. Did you two have a fight?" They joked for years that I was basically their future son-in-law, and Willow had always kept her distance from other boys, except me. Hearing that she'd started dating someone else must have been a shock, but I could tell they weren't angry with her. In fact, after I shook my head and said we hadn't fought, there was a subtle, almost hidden relief in their eyes. Mrs. Liu said, "George, it's normal for girls to be a little headstrong sometimes. You should be the one to give in more. Don't take things to heart. She'll come around. Uncle and Auntie will talk to her." But the next second, "George." No need to wait, Willow had already returned. I turned around. She looked furious, angrier than I'd ever seen her. She snapped, "George, come here. I need to talk to you." She grabbed my sleeve and dragged me toward the elevator. Behind us, her parents smiled and called after us, "Have a good talk. You too." Kids don't hold grudges overnight. There were people around the whole way. Only when we reached the secluded park corner did she stop. I stepped on the edge of her shadow, wondering what she was about to say. She said coldly, "George, are you the one who ratted us out?" I blinked. "Ah, so that's what this is about." Expressionless, I said. "No." She frowned, didn't believe me. I shrugged and sat down on a bench nearby. She said, "I saw you that day, with him, in the school grove." I gave a slight laugh. So she had seen me. That neighbor comment, she'd said it on purpose. Loud enough for me to hear. A silent way to push me away. I checked my phone for the time, chuckled, and said, "Willow, you don't seriously think I still like you, do you?" I admit, I used to, but not anymore. Who you date now has nothing to do with me. If I had the time and energy to meddle in your drama, I'd rather spend it doing a few extra math problems. I looked up. She stared down at me from above. In the past, whenever she looked at me like that, I'd carefully study her expression. Was it dislike? Was it affection? But now, I just found it ridiculous, even a little annoying. A message popped up on my screen. It was Anna. "George, don't tell me you're still studying. You promised we'd all watch fireworks together for New Year's Eve. Don't bail on us." I typed quickly. "Anyone who bails is a loser." Anna sent a voice message. "I'm almost downstairs at your building. 10 minutes. Be ready." I could hear cars, people, the soft wind, and her breathless voice. I could imagine her hurrying over, just to see me. I smiled. I said, "Willow." She stepped closer. Her shadow blocked the streetlight. The anger in her eyes had faded, replaced by something I couldn't quite read. Hesitation, maybe. I stood up, brushing off my pants. Believe it or not, I didn't do it. If I didn't, I didn't. I nodded toward the exit. "I've got somewhere to be." Took 2 steps. "George." This time her voice was soft. So soft it was swallowed by the wind. I didn't stop walking. She said, "Happy New Year's Eve." I waved a hand and kept striding toward the gate. Chapter 14. We rode together in a noisy, cheerful pack on our little e-scooters. Everyone in the group was someone who'd been studying together during the winter break. My deskmate was there too. He laughed and said, "Whoa, you two planned this? Matching outfits tonight?" Then he grinned. Come on, Anna, sit behind George." I glanced at Anna. We were both wearing yellow puffer jackets, same color, different styles. She walked over, reached out her hand for a helmet, completely unbothered by his teasing. I handed it to her cooperatively. Anna said, "Well, since David insists, George, I guess we should just grant his little shipping fantasy." But just as I handed her the helmet, she turned and hopped on her best friend's scooter instead. She raised an eyebrow and said, "I wouldn't dare ride with you. You drive like a maniac. If a traffic cop shows up, I wouldn't even have time to jump off." Under the warm yellow streetlight, the wind caught in Anna's bright eyes, quiet, and filled with something soft and lingering. Somewhere along the line, Anna had stopped being the kind of girl who blushed easily. I suspected she'd secretly gone through some training. Every movement she made stirred up springtime energy, restless and vibrant. I looked away and raised a hand. "Let's go." There were tons of people by the lake, all gathered to watch the fireworks. We wandered for a while before finally finding a spot that was relatively empty. Just in time, too. As we settled into place, a countdown rang out from the crowd up front. 5, 4. We all joined in, shouting together. 3, 2, 1. Across the lake, fireworks suddenly shot up into the sky, ripping through the darkness like fire-tipped comets. Next to my ear, a soft, sweet breath brushed past. Anna said, "Happy New Year, George. May all your wishes come true." She stood beside me, looking up, smiling. Her eyes sparkled with reflected fireworks, and from that moment, a symphony of fireworks exploded in the sky, loud and brilliant. My friends shouted their New Year wishes into the night. "Here I come. Adult world, David's on his way. Let's crush the college entrance exam. Hope we all get into our dream schools." I shouted too, "Shanghai University, wait for me." Boom, boom, boom. The fireworks kept going. Thump, thump, thump. My heart beat faster. Even in the freezing wind, the fire in a young heart still burned bright. I turned my head. Anna was still looking at me. "Anna," I said, "Happy New Year. Wishing you all the best." I heard myself say it clearly. Chapter 15. All that tutoring over winter break had paid off. When the new term's entrance exam results came out, I once again took first place, undeniably. Everyone who studied together made progress, especially Anna. Her total score pushed her into the top 10 in the grade. As Class 1's homeroom teacher passed by our classroom, she suddenly stepped back a few paces and said, "George, I knew it, your teaching style really works on Anna." My deskmate chuckled. "It's not the method that works, it's the person." I was speechless. After the teacher left, my deskmate narrowed his eyes and asked, "Come on, confess, what did you two whisper to each other on New Year's Eve? Did you confess to Anna?" He mouthed the word confess silently, like it was classified intel. I replied, "Nope, you're overthinking it." He grinned. "For real?" He studied my face for signs of guilt. Maybe he didn't see any, so he gave up pushing further. I liked Anna. Anna liked me. I wasn't stupid, I could tell. I couldn't control other people's emotions. But I could suppress my own fleeting feelings. Right now, the top priority was the college entrance exam. I had no energy to think about anything else. At lunchtime, we passed the honor roll on the way to the cafeteria. David glanced at it and said, "Hey, look, Willow's climbed back up. She's second place now. Her name's right under yours." As soon as he said it, the person ahead of us stopped. Willow turned around. David shut up immediately. She looked thinner than before, even in a puffer jacket. She looked like she could be blown away by the wind at any second. I said, "Congrats." Willow looked at me quietly. "Thanks," she replied. It was early spring. Still cold. A gust of wind swept between us. We were like two ships that had parted ways, sailing toward different harbors. Suddenly, someone ran up behind me and gave me a light smack on the head. In that moment, the wind paused. "George, you're still not going to lunch. Your precious chicken wings are about to be gone." Anna ran past with a few girls, laughing as she glanced back over her shoulder, her eyes full of life. Hearing that, I quickly grabbed David and took off after them. It was only after we'd run some distance that I realized I hadn't said goodbye to Willow. I looked back quickly. Her thin figure moved through the crowd, slightly out of place, a little alone. But in the next second, Makoto ran up beside her and walked forward at her side. Chapter 16. Spring faded into summer. After months of intense, relentless exam prep, the college entrance exam finally arrived, right on schedule. It was a hot, overcast day. When the final test ended, the sky, cloudy and stifling for days, finally opened up and poured rain. Many students rushed out into the downpour, screaming, laughing, letting out 3 years of pent-up pressure in one wild release. I stood beneath the eaves, raising my hand to let the rain slide through my fingers. Someone tapped my arm and asked, "What are your plans for the summer?" Anna leaned lazily against the wall, her smile soft and easy. Just as I was about to answer, Willow walked up behind her. Anna noticed too. She turned slightly to glance at her, then looked back at me, still smiling as if nothing had changed. I said, "Getting my driver's license." "You?" Anna tilted her head and lightly tapped her cheek with a fingertip. She said, "Forced by my family to go overseas and be their errand girl." I laughed. "You make it sound tragic." "Want me to take that glamorous job for you?" She replied. "Sure, be my guest." Willow, who had just walked past us, suddenly turned back and stepped between us. Her voice, surprisingly gentle for once. "George, when are you leaving?" I looked at her, confused. "What?" Anna lifted her chin slightly, peeking out from behind Willow with a little pout, but her eyes were smiling. She said in a playfully pitiful tone, "George, I didn't bring an umbrella. Can you walk me home?" Willow spoke at the same time. "My mom said we're having dinner tonight with your aunt and uncle. Come home with me." "Okay." "Ah, so that explains Willow's sudden kindness. A direct order from Mrs. Liu," I replied. "No need to go back together. Please tell Auntie I'll be there tonight." Then I stepped around her and met Anna's gaze. I said, Let's go, Miss Sue. I'll walk you, she said cheerfully. Got it. The umbrella wasn't big. Anna and I weren't standing too close, so both our shoulders were getting wet. The umbrella tilted, shielding only one side of her shoulder. Anna quietly leaned in until our clothes brushed. Anna, George. We spoke at the same time, then laughed together. She said, "You go first." My hand brushed lightly against her fingertips. I said, "Anna, enjoy your summer and don't forget sunscreen." She stared for a second, then broke into a smile. Her dimples rippled like sunlight on water. Suddenly I realized she was really, really beautiful. She said, "You too, learn to drive properly. When you're licensed, take me on a joyride." I laughed. "I can't even afford a car." She waved that off. "Whatever, just borrow my dad's car. I'll allow it." Up ahead, someone shouted her name. I tilted the umbrella up, and misty rain rushed toward us. I raised my hand, shielding her from the drizzle. Anna said, "Wow, speak of the devil, there he is. Come on, let's go. You can get a preview of my dad's car." I pointed toward another direction, where my parents were standing, waiting. "Next time, my mom and dad are here too." I handed the umbrella to her. Our fingers brushed, cold to the touch. Yet somehow it sparked a quiet fire. Before she could say anything, I turned and dashed into the rain. Wind and rain slammed into me from the right. I looked back. She stood alone in the rain, her figure blurred by the soft light behind the curtain of water. She raised a hand and called out, "George, keep in touch." Running, I shouted back, "Yeah, let's stay in touch." Chapter 17. I didn't skip the dinner at the Liu household. It was the first time I'd shared a meal at the same table with Willow since becoming neighbors. Her parents were as warm as ever, asking about my exam, inquiring about my dream school. I answered each question politely. On my way back from the bathroom, I passed by Willow's bedroom. She had her back to the door, talking quietly on the phone. She shook her head and said, "Not today. Let's meet tomorrow. We have guests at home." Then she added, "Yeah, he's here too." I don't know what the other person said, but Willow sighed lightly, very lightly, but I knew that sound. It meant she was starting to get impatient. I didn't stop walking. I returned to the living room. This summer break had been exhausting, worse than a dog's life. Driving lessons during the day, swimming and Muay Thai at night. My parents thought it was dangerous to study in another city, so they insisted I pick up a few self-defense skills, just in case. Meanwhile, David and the others were showing off in the group chat all day, either traveling or posting mouth-watering food pics. When the exam scores finally came out, my parents were more nervous than I was. The moment they heard my results, their anxiety finally melted away. Shanghai University, secured. Then it was non-stop. Calls from the homeroom teacher, from various college admissions offices. My parents were busy, but in a good way. Anna sent me a photo, sunglasses on, in a breezy swimsuit. Her message, "Well, now can people finally tell which side is the front and which is the back?" I replied, "Wait, what photo? I can't see anything." She didn't catch the sarcasm, sent it again. Then it hit her. "Seriously, George, since when did you become that guy? Playing coy now?" I stopped teasing and replied, "Heard from the homeroom teacher, you ranked second in the grade this time." She answered, "Please, with you around, who can get first?" I asked, "Have you decided which university to apply to?" She replied, "That's a secret." Fair enough. Even if she didn't say, I already had a good guess. Just as I was about to go offline, Anna sent a voice message. She said, "George, we're turning 18 soon." Her voice was clear and light, full of vitality, like the very essence of youth was spilling out from the screen. She said, "Wishing you, and me, a brilliant, dazzling future." Chapter 18. Willow and I both ended up at Shanghai University, but we picked different majors. I enrolled in bioengineering, and she chose applied chemistry. Both of our parents came with us for registration. Before they left, they reminded us again and again to look out for each other on campus. The moment they walked away, I walked in the opposite direction from Willow. "George," she called after me. Willow was tall, beautiful, and had that cool, aloof vibe that made people stare wherever she went. I asked her if something was up. She said, "We're going out for dinner tonight, with Makoto and some of the others, all from a city." I thought for a second and replied, "Sure." Told her to send me the time and address. That night at dinner, I was practically the last one to arrive. The whole table erupted. "Hey, a city's #1 is finally here. Now we can drink." Self-punishment shot. Before I could say anything, someone looped an arm through mine from behind and leaned forward with a grin. Anna said cheerfully, "Sorry, George was late because he came to pick me up. And no drinking for him, he's my designated driver tonight." She didn't even wait, just reached over and pushed the glass of alcohol away from me. Once we sat down, she tugged lightly at my sleeve and whispered, Quick, pour me some coconut juice. I'm dying of thirst. I smiled. Anna had also gotten into Shanghai University. I already knew it had slipped out from one of her besties. She'd applied to the university's medical school. Across the table sat Willow and Makoto. Someone started teasing the two of them. Makoto wrapped an arm around Willow and laughed. Ha ha ha. Honestly, I wasn't planning to apply here. But since Willow picked Shanghai University, I figured, why not? Willow didn't look at him, her eyes stayed on me. I didn't get what that meant, so I just turned away and started chatting with classmates. A few rounds of drinks later, the mood got rowdier, and someone decided it was gossip time. Hey, Willow, I used to think you and George were a couple. You two were always glued together, your names were even side by side on the honor roll. The room fell into sudden silence. I looked over at Anna, instinctively. She smiled gently at me and poured more juice into my glass. Makoto broke the silence first. His voice went cold. If you don't know how to talk, then shut up. The guy realized too late he'd crossed a line. He quickly apologized, downed 2 more shots, and slumped into his chair playing dead. Willow said, "Enough, Makoto. He's drunk, just spouting nonsense." That single offhand comment lit a fuse in Makoto. He slammed his chopsticks down. "This isn't about being drunk." Then stormed out of the room. Everyone looked around, unsure of what to say. It was the classmates' fault, after all, and though I was mentioned, it wasn't really my problem. But just before Willow left the room, she bizarrely stopped right between Anna and me. "George," she said. She hesitated, as if weighing how to phrase it. "Can I ask you to talk to Makoto? He seems to have misunderstood our relationship." That made it sound like I was the reason they fought. I let out a quiet laugh, but then, a sudden weight dropped on my shoulder. Anna had leaned her head on me, like she could barely hold it up. 1 second she was fine. The next she was a tipsy mess. She murmured, "George, my head hurts. It's so heavy, I can't lift it anymore." I stifled a laugh and coaxed. "Where does it hurt? I'll massage it for you," she said. "Here, here, and here too." She took my hand and guided it to her temples. Then she let out a few soft hums of satisfaction. Like a sleepy orange tabby cat, Willow realized we were putting on a show. She didn't say a word and walked off. Anna suddenly sat upright, back to normal, trying to act casual. She grabbed a cup and took a sip. I looked at her oddly. "Anna, that's my cup." Her face turned bright red, and she started coughing. Some of the other students tried to lighten the mood. They started teasing us again. "Knew it. You two have something going on, don't you? Come on, spill it. When did it start?" While pouring Anna a glass of water, I answered, "We're not together, not yet." Anna added, "Yep, George only has room in his heart for studying. Where would I even fit in?" She said it while avoiding my gaze. What now? Did drinking from the wrong glass make her shy all of a sudden? I was speechless. Chapter 19. Neither Willow nor Makoto returned after the drama. Everyone tacitly avoided mentioning them for the rest of the night. Later that evening, David sent me a voice message. He said Makoto and Willow had gotten into a fight and were on the verge of breaking up. Makoto even posted some nasty stuff on his WeChat feed. I asked David, "Wait, how do you even have Makoto on WeChat?" He said, "Back when Makoto first transferred to a city, he added a bunch of people. I was one of them. Military training day. The autumn sun was vicious, like summer refusing to let go. Suddenly, someone shouted from the crowd, 'Girl in class 1 fainted from heat stroke.' My heart skipped a beat. Anna was in class 1. Without hesitation, I shoved through the crowd and charged straight in. Sure enough, there she was, her face pale and drenched in sweat. Her eyes dazed and unfocused. She looked like she could collapse any second. I didn't even think, just scooped her up into my arms. I was drenched in sweat, shouting, 'Make way, out of the way.' Then, whack. Anna suddenly raised her arm and punched me in the chest. Completely confused, I finally looked down at her. Anna said, 'What is wrong with you, George? Are you insane? The one who fainted is my roommate.' I was stunned. What? I heard someone say a girl from class 1 fainted, I said, still reeling. I thought it was you. You looked exhausted, like you were about to pass out, she replied. I just finished helping carry my roommate to the infirmary. Of course I looked tired. I gently put her down and rubbed my chest. Damn, that little punch of yours actually hurts. She smirked. Of course, I'm fully capable of knocking out a little George with 1 punch. Who are you calling little? Huh? I said, annoyed. You, obviously you, she teased. I spread my arms, puffed out my chest. All right then, go ahead, punch me again. If I make a sound, I'll admit I'm a dog. She gave a smug little snort. Fine, if you do make a sound, you'll have to bark like a dog, 3 times. Then she raised her fist and gave me another light jab. I burst out laughing. She said, "You made a sound." I shot back. "You made a sound too." Anna rolled her eyes, completely speechless. Not far away, around the corner, a shadowy figure turned and walked away. I caught a glimpse of her profile. Just a flash, but I knew it was Willow. Chapter 20. Makoto sent me a text, the day after David told me he and Willow had made up. His message said, "Let's talk." At first, I ignored it, thought he'd sent it to the wrong person. Then he tried adding me on WeChat. His request read, "This is Makoto." Honestly, I had nothing to talk to him about. I had no interest in getting dragged back into their drama, but to avoid future nonsense, I accepted his request and replied, "I was never with Willow, and I never will be. Whatever happens between you two, leave me out of it." He was typing for a long time. In the end, he only replied with one word, "Okay, see, that simple." 2 sentences, no need to fight, no need for theatrics. University life was good. For the first time in years, I had time for things outside of studying. I explored this unfamiliar city with my roommates, soaking up all kinds of new things. The first time I went to a team dinner with my classmates, I had a few drinks and headed to the bathroom in the middle of it. On my way out, a girl called my name. It took me a second to recognize her, one of the girls from our dinner table. Hands clasped together, she asked shyly, "George, can I add you on WeChat?" For a split second, she reminded me a little of Willow, and just as I blinked, Willow really did appear behind her. "George, what are you doing here?" I paused, pointed at the bathroom sign. "What do you think?" She rolled her eyes. "Right." She glanced at the girl beside me, no need for words. Her meaning was clear. I couldn't be bothered. I added the classmate on WeChat and walked back with her. She must have picked up on something. "Was that girl your ex or something?" I said. "Just an old classmate." Back in the private room, I checked my phone. Anna had sent me a photo from the cafeteria, a tray of plain food. Lunchtime. Time to feast. Everyone else is out eating fancy meals while I'm stuck at home crying into my steamed buns. But hey, steamed buns with chili still count as gourmet, right? The buzz from the drink started to hit. I slouched into my chair, typing slowly. "Miss Sue, do you have time tonight?" She replied, "Your Majesty, what is your command?" I answered, "To receive your arrival, as you command." Dinner ended, and everyone headed out. The moment I stepped outside, I saw Willow again. She bit her lip and asked, "George, did you forget what my parents told you?" The sudden question caught me off guard. I didn't respond, but she didn't let up. She grabbed my sleeve and said sharply, "You promised Uncle and Auntie you'd take care of me, and now here you are, getting all cozy with some other girl." "Cozy? With who?" I was speechless. "I mean, seriously, what does it matter to you who I'm with?" I paused, then added, "Also, are you nuts? That whole take care of each other thing was just polite small talk. You really took it seriously. What's going on?" A warm hand slipped around my arm. Anna looked up at me, eyes gleaming. "Have you been waiting long?" I shook my head. Then she turned to Willow. "Oh, it's you," she said, as if recognizing a pest. "Saw you from a distance earlier." For a second I thought some crazy woman was trying to start a fight in the street. Willow's face went pale. She said nothing, but her stare dropped like a stone on Anna's hand clutching my arm. I said, "All good now. We'll be going then." As we walked away, Anna didn't bother to lower her voice. Who even was that? Seriously, the way she was glaring. Anyone passing by would have thought she caught us cheating. I replied, "Just a neighbor." She scoffed. "Neighbor? She's more possessive than me." I raised a hand and flagged down a cab. Chapter 21. Actually, ever since Makoto added me last time, this wasn't the first time Willow tried to meddle in my business. From Makoto's WeChat moments, I could tell they had been breaking up and getting back together again and again over just a few weeks. She even texted me once in the middle of the night, as if she had forgotten what she once said to me. She casually asked if I had time to talk. I didn't reply, but she didn't seem angry either. Maybe Makoto sensed something. He came to school to find me once. That day, I had just finished dinner with my roommates and was heading back to the dorm when I saw him sitting on a tree stump, smoking. I spotted him right away. He saw me too. Standing up, he said, "George, finally, let's talk about Willow." Everyone nearby stared at me with curious, probing eyes. He looked like someone who had just been cheated on, full of grief and rage, as if it was only natural for him to come and demand justice from me. I hate being misunderstood. Right in front of him, I pulled Willow out of my blocked contacts and called her, asking her to come over. "Let's settle this face to face." As soon as they saw each other, they started arguing hysterically. Listening to them dig up old grievances, I realized I had been the trigger all along. Somehow, the scene reminded me of something I once stumbled upon in a small grove in City A. The sweetness I had once felt was now in stark contrast to this messy drama playing out before me. I finally couldn't take the baseless accusations anymore. So I interrupted Makoto and asked, Makoto, at the New Year's party during senior year, you were the one who deleted the text I sent her, weren't you? Makoto's eyes flickered with panic. Willow looked at me, confused. I continued, and about the drink, that day, you swapped out the one Willow gave me, didn't you? You know exactly which day I'm talking about. Willow asked belatedly, what text? Makoto tried to deny everything, but he looked pale. He pointed at me and shouted, what the hell gives you the right to accuse me? You got any proof? No, you don't. I replied. You're right, I don't. I gave a small laugh, then sighed helplessly. I admit, I used to like Willow, but I'm not a masochist, and I sure as hell don't want to be a simp, hanging myself on one tree for the rest of my life. So how about you both just stop showing up in front of me? I'm not interested in being a pawn in your little drama. Right then, someone flashed into my mind, a girl with a radiant smile. I said, besides, I already like someone else, and all this crap, it might hurt her. I don't want her to be hurt. Chapter 22. Getting out of the taxi. I walked side by side with Anna back to the dorm. Tree shadows swayed. Insects chirped all around. Our shadows stretched long under the streetlights, then shortened, then lengthened again, and shortened again. I shifted my foot slightly. Our shadows overlapped. She gave a cold snort and said, Doggy George, was the food good? I turned and smiled at her. Not as good as yours. She asked, was the wine good? I didn't reply. I just smiled and stared at her. Anna lifted her head and leaned closer. Her soft breath brushed past my nose. She asked, so how are you, rookie? Did you really drink too much? How many bottles did it take? If that's all it takes, then I'm definitely the reigning champ when it comes to drinking, I said. Anna Chow, I like you. Let's date. She blinked. What? Ah. The next second, I cupped the back of her head and kissed her straight away. I said, Anna, you're seriously adorable. She looked stunned, completely frozen like I had cast a spell on her. Her eyes didn't even move. She said, wait, are you drunk talking right now? She swallowed, fumbling for her phone. Say that again. I need to record it. Just in case you pretend this never happened once you're sober, I said. Then for the confession category, I guess I win first place. She blinked a few times, put her phone away seriously. She said, dating is a big deal. It can't be rushed like this. Go get some sleep first. If you still feel the same way when you wake up tomorrow, confess again. Got it? I said, exasperated. What? Are you sure we're not just going to skip all that? She paused for a few seconds, then replied seriously, I'm sure. Maybe it was the wine that night, or maybe it was finally tearing through the paper-thin wall between Anna and me. But I slept soundly, dreamless. When I woke up the next morning, I found out she hadn't slept all night. Just a second after I sent her a good morning message, she replied with a small essay, 2,359 words. All the excitement, the nerves, the overthinking of a sleepless night packed into one message. At the end, she wrote, you're not going to pretend nothing happened once you wake up, right? I replied, pretend what didn't happen. Even through the screen, I could feel her flustered frustration. She replied, Something quietly melted in my heart. I wrote, Anna Chow, today is day one of me chasing after you. Anna replied, I'm downstairs, eagerly awaiting Doggy George's honorable presence. Anna Chow side story. Chapter 1. When George said, let's date, Anna felt like she was going to lose her mind. She stared at him again and again. Her heart was pounding like it was about to explode out of her chest, but she still tried to keep it cool as she pulled out her phone. But damn, her hands were useless, shaking so hard she couldn't even find the record button. Instead, she accidentally opened their chat window. She had no idea what she said after that. Her mind was basically a fireworks show, exploding nonstop. She was in a daze, until George leaned in and kissed her. In that moment, her ears went deaf. The whole world just paused. The scent of him, tinged with alcohol, wrapped around her completely, bold, inescapable. George kissed her. He kissed her. George kissed her. Anna felt like she could literally float. The next second, she might just lift off the ground. Later that night, she messaged her best friend Alicia. He called me cute today. Alicia was the only one who had ever known about Anna's secret crush on George. Alicia replied, okay, wow. Also, want to go grab some late-night food? Anna said, he had a bit to drink tonight. Alicia, then get your butt out here. I'm already heading over. Just sent you the address. Anna typed. He said, Anna Chow, let's date. Alicia, I'm out the door. 30 minutes later, Alicia texted, I'm here. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Anna replied, he kissed me. He kissed me. He kissed me. Ah, I'm losing it. Alicia wrote back, totally done. Get out. You hopeless romantic airhead. I'm gonna kill both of you. Chapter 2. The first time Anna ever heard the name George was back in middle school. Forever second place, they called him. Whenever classmates mentioned him, they would always bring up one other name first, Willow. So at the time, Anna just assumed the two of them were dating young. After she got into City A for high school, those two names came up again. She even joked with Alicia, "Look at them, our little power couple, taking first and second place again." Alicia shot back, "Just admit you're jealous." Anna rolled her eyes and replied, "Jealous? Please. I'd rather use that energy to eat 2 extra midnight snacks." At first, Anna had only seen George on the honor roll board, wearing the blue and white school uniform, his short hair neat and clean, his features bright and clear. Then her eyes would drift to the side, to Willow's indifferent, cold expression that looked like she was already sick of the world. Anna thought, why her? The first time she met George in person was right after the National Day break in freshman year. On the bus ride back to school, she and Alicia were on the bus, crying as they frantically tried to finish their English homework, writing through the tears. The bus suddenly jolted to a stop. Anna lost her balance and nearly fell, but someone grabbed her backpack and steadied her. She turned back and quickly said thank you. She recognized him instantly. It was George. George glanced at the English worksheets in her hands. Somehow, Anna reflexively tucked them behind her back and blushed, quickly getting up to offer him her seat. She said, "You can sit here." George didn't refuse. He turned around, said something to Willow who had been standing behind him, and then Willow came over and sat down. Alicia was still hissing at Anna to hurry up and finish their homework. Anna furiously shot her glances, trying to get her to shut up. The next second, George said, "I think your class has the same English assignment as ours. Want to check answers together?" He tapped her arm with a stack of papers in hand. What he really meant was, "Here, you can copy mine." Alicia took the papers like she'd been granted a miracle. "You're a lifesaver. We'll give them back as soon as we get off the bus." Anna copied that homework like she was sitting on pins and needles. From that moment on, George's figure started showing up in her world more and more. Him on the honor roll, him giving speeches under the flag as an outstanding student, him eating in the cafeteria, him playing sports during PE. More and more, her eyes felt like they had GPS, and the destination was always George. Every time she walked past him, her pounding heartbeat made one thing clear: she had fallen for George. As for when it happened exactly, Anna wasn't even sure herself. Maybe it was the first time she saw him on the honor roll. Maybe it was on that bus ride, or maybe it was all the pretend coincidences that came afterward. Her crush was cautious, hidden, delicate, and he didn't remember her. In sophomore year, they were both chosen to give a speech as student representatives. In the broadcasting room, Anna kept smoothing the creases at the corner of her speech script, again and again. George gave a small smile and said, "Can you hand me that water bottle? I'm a bit nervous, need a sip." She met his calm yet slightly apologetic eyes, and she understood. George was comforting her. After the speech, Anna walked half a step behind him. She said, "Thank you." George looked surprised. "What? I should be thanking you." He smiled, lips curving slightly, eyes fixed on her, sincere and kind. Who wouldn't fall for someone like George? She certainly had. If Willow didn't like him, well, then screw her. Chapter 3. A new athletic student transferred into Class 2, and a bunch of girls were acting like crazy fans, rushing to ask for his contact info. Anna, however, couldn't care less. They asked her, "Come on, who in the whole school could possibly compare to Makoto?" Anna casually listed a few names, and only at the end did she mention George. Her cheeks flushed slightly as she said, "And there's that George guy. I think he's way better than Makoto." Alicia found out Anna's secret on New Year's Eve of senior year. Anna had accidentally glimpsed Class 3's student record file in the office earlier and learned that George's birthday was December 24th. So that afternoon, she went out and bought him a cake. Alicia kept pestering her about who the cake was for, and Anna couldn't brush her off anymore. Alicia teased, "I knew it. You're secretly crushing on someone and didn't tell me." Anna replied, "No way. It's for my dad. I'm bringing it home tonight." George and Willow weren't dating. Anna realized this one day, and felt like 10 pounds had been lifted off her shoulders. But George did like Willow, and that made her heart sink again. During the school party, George had suddenly run out of the hall and headed for the lake in front of the library. Anna thought, he's probably waiting for Willow. After all, today was his birthday. She quietly followed him at a distance, crouching nearby with the cake in her hands. He trembled uncontrollably, finally shouting into the night, voice cracking, raw and broken. A long time passed, so long that Anna's legs went numb from squatting. At some point, she just thought screw it, stood up, and walked over with the cake. She gave it to him. As a stranger, Anna was honestly worried he might spiral into something worse, so she silently followed him all the way home. When he turned around, she darted into a corner of the stairwell, only to bump straight into Alicia, who had secretly tailed her the whole way. Alicia nearly shouted, but Anna clamped a hand over her mouth and blurted out a dry, awkward cat meow. Alicia looked at her with that I know everything smirk and insisted on finding out who he was. She officially found out a few days later that the boy Anna secretly liked was George. It was obvious, Anna was unusually giddy after that exam, especially after she came back from the test hall. She even brought back an apple. Alicia, sharp-eyed as ever, spotted a folded note stuck to it. She asked, "Anna, was that from him?" Anna shook her head quickly. No. Anna was so stingy with that note, hid it like a national treasure. Then they ran into George. Anna's ears instantly turned bright red. Alicia finally connected the dots. She snatched the apple from Anna's hands and said, well, you little brat, eating this like nothing happened." Anna's precious little secret now had one noisy witness, but even so, with a heart full of affection, she cautiously drew closer to him. Every step she took was filled with sweetness. That night when George kissed her, her mind spun in chaos. One image suddenly flashed across it. On the bus, the boy sitting by the window with his head down, listening to music, his profile peaceful. Then, suddenly, he turned around and met her eyes. The October sunlight poured in from the window, bathed in gold. He smiled, and in that instant, Anna clearly heard the sound of her own heartbeat, one beat at a time, vivid, strong, real.